This is the Morning Drift. Thank you very much for choosing to begin your day with us here on our Lookuptv. My name is Simba Kiage. Today is Friday. That means that we're going to take a sit back and enjoy music from our DJ who's coming into the studio shortly. And also, I'll not be alone for the entire part of our show this morning. MUGURU KIMANI, who we introduced to you the other day, will also be joining us shortly to carry out conversations on what is happening in the entertainment scene. But even as we wait for all that to take shape today, I want to ask you, when was the last time you actually booked or bought a ticket and walked into a theater and watched a play or a drama? You know? Do you remember? Now you can. In fact, if you're within Nairobi or whatever county that you are in, you're going to realize that theater, especially in the country, is on the rise. And that is the conversation that MUGURU KIMANI is going to have with you or with thespians today right here on the Morning Drift. And when you have time, indeed, take time probably to visit the Kenya National Theatre and see some of the schedules that are right there in terms of the entertainment, stage entertainment that you can actually get in that particular place. Well, looking forward to that conversation. But on the side of that, questions are now arrive on the performance of KCSE in the country. Now, do you believe that it's possible to improve the mean score of a school by more than 1 point in a year? Because now, if you look at exactly where we are in terms of the just released KCSE examinations, there are educational experts who are claiming it is impossible for you to improve the mean score of a school by 1 point in a year. Now, whether you believe that or disagree is neither here nor there. But if we look at the mean scores, especially when you look at A's as a grade that a majority of these schools got, then educational experts are saying, there's something to suspect there. Because if you look at what we did see the other day in terms of the distribution of the A grade in the result that we got, then you'll see that Mangu High School was leading with 82, Maranda High 68, Alliance High School 72, all the way to Pangani Girls that had 20 A's, Kisii High School at 22 A's. And now they're saying that if you really look at the combined grade A's recorded by Kisii and Nyamira counties in the 2022 exams, there has been heightened interest on the improvement of schools within the two regions. That if you go to Kisii and Nyamira counties, then you're going to find that the total grades A's in those schools were 81. And that's why there's been questions that have been cast on how those particular schools then were able to improve their grades to that particular level. And now some sections of members of parliament are calling for a probe into those results. Any other thing that we're comping around the country now is that DP Gachagua has called for county commissioners to lead the drive in just giving one restaurant and one bar license to operate for 24 hours, especially in the central region of Kenya. And we've seen also the second lady, that is the wife to DP Gachagua, saying that she's going to lead a drive in sensitizing youth in the central part of Kenya against the evils of drug and substance abuse. Well, those are some of the stories that we're going to look into right here and actually get to talk about some of them. So thank you very much for choosing, yes, to begin your day with us right here on Lookuptv, but most certainly the Morning Drift. Today we take it back a little bit and set a record right here on our Kusa Rebecca Friday. We're waiting for MUGURU KIMANI to walk into the studio and also our DJ this morning. Remember, you can join us live at Lookuptv across all your social media platforms. I am at Kiage Simba. Let's take a tiny breather. Once we come back, then we'll be looking at some of the stories that are taking center stage in our newsroom. Welcome back. The death toll from a road crash along the Nakuru-Nairobi highway on a Thursday morning has risen to 7. The fatalities include 2 miners who perished in the crash near Kikope. 4 of the victims, among them the Matatu driver, died on the spot during the fatal accident reported at 5 a.m., while the other 3 succumbed while being rushed for treatment in various hospitals. Nakuru County Police Commander Peter Mwanzo said more than 10 other people who survived were admitted to different hospitals in a Gilgil area in a critical condition.
For the second time in a span of a few days after a PSV vehicle collided with a stalled trailer by the roadside, 7 people have lost their lives in a similar incident along the Nakuru-Nairobi highway.
Bahati mbaya kuna watu 4 walikufa hapo. Na wengine majeruhi wakapelekwa kwa hospitali ambazo ziko hapo karibu. Kuna hospitali ya St. Joseph na nyingine ya St. Mary's. Baadaye kidogo kuna wengine 2 wamekufa kwa hospitali, kwa hivyo idadi ya waliokufa imefika 7.
According to eyewitnesses, the 2 PSVs were headed to Nairobi from Nakuru when they hit the stationary trailer, which has been stalled for 3 days. Confirming the incident, Nakuru Police Commander Peter Mwanzo insisted that overspeeding was the main cause of the accident, urging drivers to be more cautious on the roads.
Kilichosababisha hii ajali aina hii na impact ya aina hii ni ule mwendo wa mbio. The speed at which these vehicles were moving was a thrilling speed, because eneo hilo ni eneo liko wazi na ni eneo ambalo lina climbing lane, kumaanisha gari lilikuwa linapanda mlima, na kupata accident ya impact ya aina hii kwa climbing lane mahali palipo wazi, hiyo ni jambo la kushangaza sana.
The 16 who were injured were taken to St. Mary's Hospital for medication, while the bodies of those who succumbed transferred to the morgue.
16 ni majeruhi mabaya zaidi. Kuna wengine 3 pia ambao pia hawajajulikana kabisa vizuri, lakini pia polisi wanajaribu kuwatambua.
As Kenyans continue to lose their lives to road carnages, the question remains, what will the Ministry of Transport do to curb such cases? Ian Keitani, Lookuptv.
The High Court has ordered a Pangani
for the embattled Police Sergeant Rashid Ahmed based at Eastleigh Police Post continue to deepen after the Milimani High Court Judge Kanyi Kimondo directed that the accused police sergeant undergo mental health examination at the Mathari Hospital before taking plea.
The court deferred plea taking from today to the 9th of February 2023.
Sergeant Rashid Ahmed, lawyers led by Dansan Omari, maintain he is innocent of all the accusations leveled against him and have poked holes into the evidence presented by the human rights groups and the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions.
We raised very fundamental issues within that petition. 1, the author of that video. 2, the video itself. 3, the camera that took that video. 4, the ballistic report of the bullets and the gun that was used to kill the 2 boys. 5th, the identification parade that was done to bring into a conclusion that these boys were actually shot by one Sergeant Rashid. Fifth, we raised the question of us being given the evidence through that petition. The state has never complied.
As a society, we are still behind our officer, Ahmed Rashid. He has done nothing. He's not a criminal, and he should not be hunted like an elephant in the bush.
Already, Ahmed's legal team has filed an urgent application before Justice Kanyi, seeking to stop plea taking on grounds that the prosecutor has failed to provide satisfactory prosecutorial evidence to proceed with the case. That application will be heard on February 8th, a day before plea taking.
We are very definite that once the state responds without any evidence, that the judge will agree with us that there is no basis at all for one Sergeant Rashid to take plea.
Sergeant Rashid Ahmed found himself on the wrong side of the law after a section of civil society groups and the Office of the Directorate of Public Prosecutions opened a case proceeding against him, accusing him of gross violation of human rights. Henry Tende, Lookuptv.
In other sad news, Kabete area in Kiambu County has witnessed 4 suicide cases within a span of 24 hours. The 4 include 2 men and a lady who allegedly poisoned her child before killing herself. Stakeholders and residents in the area have called upon groups dealing with a poor mental health care to come in handy for the young people in the region. Cecilia Lubanga now reports.
A somber mood marooned Kiambu vicinity as residents were walking to yet another incident of a suicide case. This time round, it was a mother and her child. According to the area police commander, Joseph Muriuki is treating the possibility at the preliminary stage that the mother might have poisoned her child first before consuming the same poison. The 2 men had killed themselves a few kilometers within the same area.
Kumpigia simu the whole day, and she was out of reach, so we decided to come look for her in person. And when we got here, we had to try and peep through the door because it couldn't open, it couldn't budge. And that's when we saw her body lying on the ground, and then we broke the door.
Yeyote unaona kuna depression, ongea na huyo mwingine ili tuweze kuwasaidia tusiwe na janga kama hili. Sasa mtoto ameenda, mama ameenda, lakini kama tungepata nafasi tuongee na wao, pengine haingefika hapa imefika. Tuongeze kiwango ili tusaidie mpaka wale wanakuaga mashinani. Kuna wale wanatusaidiaga sana kwenda kuangalia mtu ni mgonjwa ako na shida hii, tuwe tukiwaandika vizuri, tukiwapea pia wao tuwaandike, tuwapee kitu kidogo na wao waendelee kufanya hiyo kazi mashinani, kwa sababu wao ndio wanajuanga kuna watu wagonjwa pahali, kuna watu wako na depression. Tukisaidiana na wao na department ya health, ninajua mambo hii itapungua kidogo.
The 3 incidences have raised concerns amongst the residents of who now worry about the state of mental health in the area.
Katia hata hii mambo ya ugonjwa wa fikra, kwa sababu inaonekana sasa hii ni dalili ambayo iko na wengi. Hii ni ishara ya baadhi yetu, na pia serikali vile tuweza punguza hii mzigo. Pengine mtu anaangalia vile maisha imekuwa ghali, sasa naona jambo mzuri ni kujitoa uhai. Kwa hiyo ni jambo mzuri kila mtu pahali nafasi yako, serikalini, mkubwa kwa wadogo, tuone vile tuweza kuwa tunazingatia ile maisha, tuweza ilete chini, tuwe watu wetu waache kuwa na fikira mingi za kimaisha.
The bodies of the 4 have since been moved to Angenge Hospital mortuary as investigations commence. Cecilia Lubanga, Lookuptv.
Different leaders have continued to visit the departed home of the former, let me just correct that, the former immediate education CS to condole with the family. Kotu Secretary General Francis Atoli is Among the leaders who joined the family members and eulogized the late as an esteemed leader who transformed the education sector. Shada Kareria reports.
For the second day, politicians and leaders from different organizations visited the home of the former Education Cabinet Secretary George Magoha in Nairobi. While giving their final tribute to the fallen CAs, the leaders termed Magoha as a leader who set the standards high in the education sector.
All the time, particularly whenever we would have cases of medical malpractice, Prof. Magoha would say it doesn't matter who is involved, justice must be followed.
While eulogizing Magoha, Kotu Secretary General Francis Atwoli, who was in attendance, termed Magoha as a leader who hated and isolated himself from corruption.
One of the things that we as workers will remember him for is that he was not corrupt. He was a serious man, and indeed very serious, because he called me one day and he told me, I don't want your son in my university. There are very few people who can do that. I used all my influence, I know, and the tactics I was taught on negotiations. But he said, no, Francis. I've said no, and my no is no. Take your son in another university you can. And that was it. Bearing in mind, at home, we are so close, and also we have been close friends for a long time. And I respect him for that. Here he's going down to the grave without somebody's even 1 shilling. I know. Nobody will come here and say, I bribed him, I gave him money to do for me this and that. This is an upright person.
The current University of Nairobi Vice Chancellor Stephen Kiama, who was in company of other retired Vice Chancellor of the same university, eulogized Magoha as a leader who spearheaded education reforms at UON.
We take it as a university community that the institution is a baton we pass from one to the other. And we learn from the one who left before, and they take the institution to the next level. And we have continued with that kasha. And Professor Magoha also contributed to the same kasha. And that's why University of Nairobi, it is the way it is now.
And you can see why this man, Professor Magoha, was a brother to me. We will miss him, but God decided this was his time. We support the family, we'll be with them, and all we can is really that University of Nairobi has lost one of its lights, there's no doubt. But we hope the current people will continue to look for also good people to ensure that light continues.
The family and friends of Professor George Magoha are currently making preparation for the burial of his brother, which is expected to take place at Yala in Siaya County on Saturday, before they can announce the funeral of Professor Magoha. Shadrack Kareria, Lookuptv.
A section of Kenya Kwanza members have laughed off plans by Azimio leader Raila Odinga to oppose the new IEBC reforms, claiming that those are attempts by President William Ruto to constitute an electoral commission that will favor his re-election bid in 2027. Ian Ketani files the following report.
Kenya Kwanza MPs have taken a swipe at former Prime Minister Raila Odinga and Azimio allied MPs for voicing their frustrations on the reconstitution of the new IEBC commissioners after the bill was assented by President William Ruto.
Hii maneno ya IEBC ilipita process zote. Kuna kuanga kwamba lazima kukuwe na stage. Kuna stage moja ambayo inaitwa public participation, ambapo unaalika wananchi, maoni ya wananchi na mtu yeyote ambaye ana maoni tofauti.
Process of recruiting new IEBC commissioners does not take place in the streets. And you know, picketing or demonstration is their constitutional right.
Ilikuwa published, ilikuwa na public participation, ilikuja bungeni, ilipita first reading, ikaenda second reading, ikaingia committee stage, na ikaenda third reading, na ikapigwa sahihi. Sasa unapinga sehemu gani haswa? Unapinga kupigwa sahihi, unapinga first reading, second reading ama committee stage, ama unapinga kwamba haikuwekwa publication? So wakati tunahadaa wananchi ya kwamba tuende kwa street, ile stage ya public participation, hebu tuone memoranda yako ilikuja bungeni.
The legislators denied claims by the Azimio la Umoja leader that the reconstitutional was unlawful and therefore they will not be recognized. The MPs insisted that the bill has already been assented into law by the president and therefore the claims were useless. Roraka MP Tom Kajwang has insisted that the ODM party will oppose the reconstitution of the new IEBC commission.
Now, an electoral process which is controlled by the government or the political party in power alone as against everybody else is in itself divisive. It is a question which I am sure the audience or my viewers will understand even before I make a lot of speeches about.
The retirement of IEBC chairperson Wafula Chebukati with some of the commissioners left a void with the reconstitution process kick-started by the assentment of the bill.
Moving on, Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua has directed the provisional administration officers to carry on a crackdown on illicit liquor, saying alcoholism and drug abuse has become a menace, particularly in the Mount Kenya region. The Deputy President also calls on the county government to regulate issuance of licenses for bars and pubs, saying that the abuse of illicit liquor has reached worrying levels.
The Deputy President speaking in Murang'a on Thursday at the launch of the county's bursary program, Gachagua urged provincial administration officers not to participate in politics and instead heighten efforts to contain the situation on consumption of illegal alcohol and substance abuse.
Kazi tunataka nyinyi machifu mtusaidie ni hii mambo ya pombe ambayo inaharibu hii watoto wetu. Na mimi nataka niseme nikiwa hapa Murang'a, we shall not accept a situation where our children are being killed by illicit brew when they are chiefs, assistant chiefs, county commissioners and the police. Nyinyi mlikuwa mmetoka kazi yenu ndio kumeharibika. Mlikuwa mmewacha kazi mumeenda kwa siasa. Sasa murudi kazi ya kupambana na pombe na bangi katika hapa Murang'a.
He added that plans to streamline and reform tea, coffee and dairy farming sectors are on the high gear.
Mambo ya fertilizer ya majani chai mulipata. Tunapanga mambo ya fertilizer ya kahawa na mimea zingine na mtakuja kupata. Na hapo mnajua rais amenipatia kazi ya kung'ang'ana na maneno ya kahawa na majani chai na maziwa mpaka mkulima aweke pesa kwa mfuko.
In addition, the DP said the stalled development projects will resume as soon as the government is mobilizing funds.
Mambo ndio tunapanga, mambo ya maji, mambo ya barabara. Mnajua tulipata nchi ambaye mambo yake ilikuwa imeharibika. Tumeudauda kidogo, mambo imeanza kufufuka na hivi karibuni mtaanza kuona matunda.
In a separate forum here in Nairobi, while meeting governors and other leaders, the abrasive Deputy President established a committee to guide on the amount of revenue to be allocated to counties that for a very long time now has been a standoff between the counties' CEOs and the national government.
We've been able to unlock several things. One, on mining, we have agreed that the resources that are entitled to the counties will be released forthwith so that the counties can be in a position to utilize those funds for the benefit of the people.
Gachagua noted that the team will give a comprehensive report to the council for a decision in a week's time.
We have not been able to reach a decision, but I want to confirm that all the participants are alive to the current economic situation in the country.
The Council of Governors requested for 425 billion shillings, while the Commission on Revenue Allocation recommended 407 billion shillings. On the other hand, the National Treasury proposed to raise the allocation from 370 billion shillings in 2021 to 380 billion shillings in the 2023-2024 budget. Gachagua also said President William Ruto will meet the governors early next month to thrash out pending issues in a bid to enhance the relations between the two levels of government. Cecilia Lubanga, Lookuptv.
Moving on, Lookuptv and Mudhingi TV has been awarded by the Kenya Handball Federation after airing the international handball competition that was held last year at Ulinzi Sports Arena. Technical Director Charles Omondi, while issuing the award to KM Commercial Director, thanked the TV for their great support.
Why we visited is just to appreciate. And there was a good working relationship between Kenya Handball Federation and the Lookuptv. You realize that handball is now visible. We are being seen all over, not only in Kenya, but also in the whole continent and globally. This one you could attest to what happened last week. We had the 2 awards coming towards us. That is the Coach of the Month of December, and also our 2 teams finishing second runners-up in the Soya Award. That is the Nairobi Water Handball Queens and the National Cereals and Produce Board Men. Both of them were awarded as the second runners-up team of the year. And this one is because we are now visible.
I want to take this opportunity to really appreciate the Kenya Handball Federation for coming out and giving us an opportunity to partner up on the just concluded events. And we look forward to really giving so much exposure to the sport and building more talent and encouraging, motivating, and just empowering the youth to show that sport is really a profession and can really pay. And we can only look forward to really partner in more events coming up. And we have the capacity and they're willing and the professions to really do amazing live.
Wow. That story marks the end of our morning drift bulletin this morning. We take a tiny breather, but MUGURU, KIMANI and I will be coming back shortly to show you or tell you what it is that you are waking up to this morning in terms of your dailies. Do not step away.
Are you a junior secondary school, a college, a TVET institution or a university and you want to advertise your intake? Book now and advertise with us today on both Lookuptv and all our digital platforms. Call us today on 011 0430 158, 011 0430 158 or email us on sales@lookuptv.co.ke.
Vera Beauty and Fashion College is focused on being the leading technical and vocational training institute in the region. Our team possesses in-depth knowledge and extensive experience in the industry, offering thorough training in cosmetology, hairdressing, interior design, creative arts, training of trainers, nail technology, and fashion design. With branches in Nairobi, Thika, Meru, Eldoret, and now in Mombasa, our courses ensure that learners are completely equipped with knowledge, competency, and employability skills. Enroll today to be a part of a center of excellence.
It will be a lifetime experience you do not want to miss. From 30th January to 5th of February, Bishop Dr. Ken and Mercy Ken do invite you to the Prayers Revival meeting at the Revival Sanctuary Church of Glory in Riruta Satellite, Kawangware. Starting from 6 p.m. for 7 days, ministering guests will be Apostle Joseph Wamapendo. And performing live will be music minister Sifael Mwabuka all the way from Tanzania. Come and experience the hand of God at work.
Do you need a dose of hope? If so, you are in the right place. We think of ourselves around here as hope dealers, delivering truth, power, and inspiration to hearts and minds all over the world. If nothing else has worked for you, why not give the God thing a try? For it's in the presence of God that you'll find everything that you need. Amen.
Come on, everybody, get your feet happy. Let's go, come on.
The Bible says, call people, shall call people to come to the house of God.
Can some of y'all run down here to the front real quick? I gotta know who's in the building. Where my islanders?
Come, let us return to the Lord. Jehovah, you are our healer. You are Jehovah Roveka. You are Jehovah Tisidikenu. You are Jehovah Mekadish.
Say it.
Well, welcome back to Kusereka Friday right here on the Morning Drift. Well, MUGURU KIMANI is with us this morning. MUGURU, how are you doing?
I'm fine, how are you?
Yeah, fantastic.
I'm amazing too.
Yeah.
Lovely week coming to an end. But of course, we are on your screen, so we'll be taking you through Friday as you start your weekend and just to, see what is happening in the country. And remember, today is on Friday where we just do matters pertaining entertainment and just to inform you of what is going on in the country.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Just before we jump into the newspaper review, run into this particular quote. It's only men who are way interested into what their former schools scored in the last KCSE examinations. Is it true? Do you know the grade that the mean grade that your former high school scored in the KCSE result?
No.
So it doesn't matter to majority of women.
How did you guys come to terms that it's only men?
Yeah, but ask around. All men. Every time there is
because I cannot be a representation of all the women.
Oh yeah?
That is so wrong. I'm only just one person.
It's kind of true though. When you look around, even right here where we work, at Lookuptv.
Yeah.
If you ask majority of men, even the ones who are 60 plus, do we have them around? Yeah, we could. Yeah.
Yeah, I can see Akina Edu over there.
Yeah. Eduku, you ask Edu right now, like what is former high school scored in the last cases examination, they will tell you. Like majority of us get so much, men, they get attached to their school, to their car, and their baba. 3 things that
and their boys.
Yeah.
Their friends.
Yeah, and their friends. And it's true that maybe tell me, it is Friday. Let's just start like that. Is it true that men are emotionally attached to their fellow men?
Oh, they are. I would say they are.
Why?
Honestly, from experience in Nairobi, let me not say Kenya, in Nairobi, I think that men are emotionally attached to their male friends compared to even just having female friends and being in a relationship. I feel like it's their friends first, and then now you as the female friend or the girlfriend, you come second, honestly.
And is it true that those women who know that, you see whatever you've described here, they're very happy in relationships, they are on a shida?
Hawana shida, okay. But then okay, driver, you're good to go. You're good to go.
Not
but
me.
if you wait to be the first priority, honestly, kidogo ngumu.
Never gonna be there. Never gonna be there. And then the worst time to talk to a guy or try to engage a guy is when his favorite football team is playing, or when they have plans with their boys and you want to intervene.
Yeah.
Now you know. Not from me. That's from MUGURU KIMANI. Yeah? Proper advice for us to start our day with right here. Let's jump then into the newspaper review this morning. MUGURU, I do have the Standard.
Yeah.
Well, I know you do have the Daily Nation. What is the biggest headline on the Daily Nation?
So I have the Daily Nation with me, as you said, and the biggest headline is Stolen Futures. Remember on Wednesday we were talking about bursaries and how people they are crying for help. Like, we need these bursaries for our children to go to school, for our children to get the education. And now there are claims that the bursaries, there are some that we can't, the money that is supposed to be given to these counties that cannot be accounted for.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of money. When I was looking at the headline, hopefully I was...
Yeah, because it's 1.2 billion.
Whoa. 1.2 billion, MUGURU. That's a lot of money.
That's a lot of money.
That's a lot of money.
But it's
How many kids would you take to school with 1.2 billion? An entire country. Trust me. Because if you go by the first-term fee, majority of high schools, we do know that they get this capitation from the government in supporting these kids who are joining secondary school. So you would talk about, what, 40,000 in a year, or 30,000 in a year as the amount of money that parents have to fork out to pay the school. Some even go below 30,000 in a year.
Yeah.
So now you can imagine when you say that we don't know where 1.2 billion shillings is. That's like we don't know where the money to take kids in an entire country is. That's a lot of money.
And now how are we even starting to account for this money? Because yes, okay, where is the 1.2 billion? How do we find the 1.2 billion, honestly? So should our kids stay back at home until we get the 1.2, or what will be done? So crazy.
It is something that I keep on seeing this kind of headlines from time to time. We do know how the bursary funds are worded. There is an account for it. Money is taken in and money goes out. It's very, very easy for somebody to ask who took out this money, where was it, and which account was it put in. And so when you come back and tell us we don't know what 1.2 billion is, that is essentially easily tracked within the government, it just beats sense completely for me, MUGURU, because whoever was managing these funds, and we do know who these are, why can't we tell them we're giving you this particular hours or days for you to refund these monies that we don't know where they are? You know? And we craft corruption and leaders and how we do not know how to fight corruption, yet we can actually use this guy as an example, which is the same a commentary that I saw online this morning, MUGURU, in as some people are saying, do not give members of parliament CDF funds to manage. That's why we're talking about this money that is getting lost here. Because then you give them the money. It's like you, MUGURU, now, you're a member of parliament. And then we give you 300 million shillings. And then it's you, as a member of parliament, to decide how to distribute this money, where this money goes. You can actually even decide who gets support from this CDF kitty, or which school in your constituency gets support from this CDF kitty. So even how these monies are used, yes, members of parliament are fighting for it. Somebody said, why can't we take this money to the county level and then come up with a board or a committee to manage it, so that once we start asking questions how this money was used, we can have these books and accounts for them to come in and then say, this is exactly how we use this money. We couldn't be talking about headlines of this sort at this time when life in general is quite hard for even the parents to manage. My God.
I know.
Oof. Any other headline that is taking center stage on the Daily Nation?
Still Magoha. So a threat that lured Magoha brother back to Kenya. I believe we're still just mourning Magoha. And it's crazy just to think about, honestly, outside Magoha, when you're gone, that is when people now they start to appreciate you and what you've done. Because I feel like you're supposed to be given your flowers when you're there.
Yeah.
When it still matters for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you look at the conversations that are going on in the, especially in the education sector, MUGURU, it's true, and I'm gonna take you to the standard once we get there, so we can get to talk about exactly what's happening.
Yeah.
That's something that you can track the proper performance in KCSE from the time Matiang'i joined that particular sector, all the way to when Magoha had it, that you could see the soundness, the discipline that later came into these schools, or essentially in the general education sector. Then they say immediately Magoha stepped out, we've started to see claims of cheating, claims of rigging exams and then favoring some regions in the country, to the point where some members of parliament are now calling for a probe in the education sector to show us exactly whether indeed it's possible for a certain school somewhere to improve a mean grade by 1 point. Maybe you had 6 last year, now you have 7 or 7 point something within 1 year, you know? So when you look at exactly what Magoha did in the education sector, in terms of him being straight, tough talking, putting everybody in line, I think it's an example, it's a lesson really, that we should have said all these things when this guy was alive.
Yeah,
especially immediately after he stepped off, isn't it?
Yeah.
And was not picked again by President Ruto to man that particular sector. We should have come out and said, Magoha was able to do A, B, C, D. Congratulations, sir. Because now I feel like, yes, no matter how much we say it, he's not gonna listen to it. We do not know what happens when people leave us, isn't it? Exactly. Because we're still alive. So it's like beating a drum to a goat. They're then gonna make sense of whatever it is that you're doing.
Yeah,
it's like wasted efforts. Yeah. Oof. All right. Is that it from the Daily Nation?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
So what do we have on the Standard today?
Pretty much. All right. On the Standard, the bigger headline is the truth about A's in a KCSE exams. That's the headline that they've chosen to go with. Now, the kicker, they're saying that in fresh insights in the 2022 exam results that have thrust some counties into the spotlight, education experts say it is almost impossible to improve a school's mean score by more than 1 point in 1 year, and that therefore the government should audit the results. Read that story on pages 4 and 6. MUGURU, let me just paint for you a picture, then you and I would make sense of it. Now, the combined number of grade A's recorded by Kisii and Nyamira counties in the 2022 exams was 81. Now listen, there has been heightened interest on the improvement of schools within the 2 regions. That if you look at the combined number of grade A's recorded by those 2 counties, between Kisii and Nyamira counties, it was 81. Out of the total A's that was scored overall in the country. So let me read for you some schools that recorded plain A's in a 2022's. Mangu High School, 82. Alliance High School, 72. So I want to see that particular region that has been on the spotlight here, because Kisii School comes in with, let me just see where, 22 A's, yeah? Cardinal Tunga is also a school that comes from those 2 regions that have been noted, 28. So even before you go far, out of these A's that have been scored, 2 schools from those 2 regions have scored
more than 20.
50 A's already. MUGURU, do you believe that we need to go into a probe as to why schools from that region all of a sudden in the 2022 KCSE examinations shot to fame?
It can happen.
Be careful. You know, guys are listening from that region.
Listen. As I said on Wednesday, it can happen. Maybe they decided, you know what? We as a region, we need to up our game. We need to pull up our socks. But how that can happen overnight, over 1 year, Honestly, we need to look into it.
Oh yeah, you think so?
Yeah,
So now,
I really do think so. We just need to, if it's genuine, well and good. If it's not, then something has to be done because it's just an year, meaning by this year when we're doing KCSE, we can, we can do changes to it. We can go back to Magoha's time, Matiang's time, where discipline and just being genuine when it comes to examinations and not cheating. So let's just take this as a case of study, we come from a place where you've said it that we can track how the performance was from Matiang's time to Magoha's time. So we can even start now, you know. Let's just take this as a case study. If it's genuine, well and good. We're happy for your A's, but if it's not, then we need to turn a new page, a new leaf.
But somebody asked this question, MUGURU.
Yeah.
That we are only calling for probe once we see an increase in the number of A's or an increase in mean scores of schools across the country. So somebody said, why didn't we call for a probe when Matiang'i and Magoha took over and all of a sudden schools could not perform the way that we're used to them performing? So someone asked this question, do we only call for probe when we see improved performance? Why can't we call for probe when we see reduced performance in the schools? Is that a valid question as well? Were you saying
it is, because why didn't we do it before? But now suddenly we have these A's and we are concerned. So meaning next time if something is done and then there's a drop, we need also to look into it.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
All right. MUGURU, there's an interesting story here on page 3 of the Standard. And I mean, can I ask you a question even before we get into it? Because it's about the 102 million shillings laundering case as a couple appears in court. Let me just read for you this. A 22-year-old college student who is at the center of the 102 million shillings dispute between the Asset Recovery Agency and Belgian national Marc de Massol appeared before court, settling the mystery of whether she exists. Now, let me just give you a background of this story, MUGURU. She shot into fame last year when it was revealed that this guy, Marc de Massol, sent Felista, apparently, somebody they're dating or in a relationship with, 102 million shillings. That's yours. Hiyo ni yako ya kutumia. Okay? Now, all of a sudden, there were investigations into the Asset Recovery Agency on why this money was just in account, not getting used, MUGURU, not getting, ilikuwa tu imekaa. And when I asked her, how did you get this money? This money, I got it from my lover, who's Marc de Massol, all right, who sent me this money. It's my present. She shot into fame. And then all of a sudden, there were questions of whether she was getting used to launder this money, because then this France International was also getting followed by his country into this kind of investigate. Is it a warning to young girls, MUGURU, not to get involved in these cases?
You know, I'm still stuck up where you said she had all this money in her account and she wasn't choosing it. I'm like, that is every girl's dream. What do you mean? The moment the money is there, you should be using it. If you're not using it, then there is a question mark, as you said. Why ain't we using this money?
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah, but like some people would say, if it's a present, it's a present. But MUGURU, do you believe that somebody can send you 102 million shillings as a present? Like, that's yours, just use it.
Yeah, I think there are such people in the world. Not yet.
MUGURU,
I've not yet experienced that, but I tend to believe nothing is impossible.
Yeah.
But now the question is when you don't choose their money.
Yeah.
Because we will think it's fraud, honestly. Why aren't you using the money?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here's a question, though.
Yeah.
And this entire conversation, because now she's getting investigated by the by Kenya. That's one, because you know Kenya will come in. They will ask you why you have this money.
Yeah.
Where did you get it from? They start tracking the source. Yeah. And you see, France, that's Marc de Massol, is also getting investigated by France, his country. Have we sort of normalized this culture of that as a girl, MUGURU, I'm treading on very soft line here, that this Baba culture, by the way, because that's exactly where the conversation went to. Do you think we're normalizing it to the point that we don't see any problem with it?
With what exactly?
The Baba culture, where you just sit as a girl and you receive goodies.
You would, oh yeah, sure,
Yeah.
we are.
Do you think it's been normalized?
I think at some point, yeah, because we, most of us want the lavish lifestyle, but do you want to work hard for it? If there's another way where you're getting it for free and easy, yeah, so you tend to lean on that side more. Without even questioning, so what now happens in the future? Yeah, what if I get caught?
That's it. What is the source of money that I'm receiving right now? Isn't it?
And what happens to that point where he stops giving you that kind of cash?
A barrier, you know? It's a very, very good question.
Yeah.
Because when you look around, MUGURU, you sort of tend to think that this culture of girls sitting and having sponsors for whatever that means, that it's been normalized heavily among the youth nowadays. I like to think so. All right. So there's a story here that I also have to share with you. Especially it's been given a lot of prevalence right here on the Standard. By the way, that story we've just been talking about with MUGURU is covered heavily on page 3 of the Standard. Now, there's this thing, I saw it on the Pulse. For those who like to read into the Pulse also, you can jump into it and get to read that pullout on the Standard. We'll talk about social issues among the youth. Now, MUGURU, DP Gachagua is saying, in the central region, that story has also been covered on the Pulse, they're going to ask county commissioners to come in and only give one pub and one restaurant a license to operate for 24 hours. Why? Because we do know Kenya does embrace the 24/7 economy, but then they're saying that because bars and then the clubs are getting open for 24/7 hours, for 24 hours, a lot of youth are drinking heavily. MUGURU, do you honestly think that having one restaurant to operate in these major towns in the central part of Kenya and one pub to also
and
operate...
And why just central?
Yeah, it's just central. They're going to start from central. They're going to start from central.
Okay.
Do you believe it's going to stop people from heavily drinking?
No. No, it's a lie. It's a lie.
What would you be your advice?
People can drink from home. People can do house parties.
Yeah. Can I order?
Okay, it's a good way to take measures, but I believe there's more to be done than just one. So what happens now? Do you limit the number of people who will come into that club, to that pub? Because it's just one license for 24 hours, honestly.
And how are you going to determine what club gets the license?
Yeah.
Because all of us are going to apply. We do believe that, you know, it's not illegal to drink in Kenya, is it? No, it's not. It's not illegal to run a pub in Kenya, is it? It's not. So what is this criteria they're going to use to give licenses to this one restaurant and one pub to operate for 24 hours, especially in the central part of Kenya? Yeah?
Because they believe the clubs are many.
There are many.
Yeah. So
and these joints that sell alcohol, there are many. Yeah?
But when you just think about that, it's just only 24 hours. So meaning you can operate, the other clubs get to operate, but not for the 24 hours.
Not for 24 hours.
Yeah.
And I don't know how they will be issuing this license, because then if I'm a business person in Central and I see one club being given the license to operate for 24 hours and not me, I will start asking questions, MUGURU.
Yeah, I would want to know the criteria you guys used. Yeah. But people gotta drink either way. I feel like we should take other measures, like educate the youth on the reasons as to why we should not be drinking that much at a very young age. Like, what's the other option? What else can you do? But just closing clubs, I don't think and just giving one the license for 24 hours, I don't think it will make much of a difference, but it will, but not much of a difference.
I'll tell you that. It's just for us to watch and see exactly.
Yeah, but let us wait and see.
Yeah.
Maybe.
But, the second lady. DP Gashagua's wife said that is going to prioritize that particular region and prioritize the boy child.
Does it mean the youth in Central, they're drinking more compared to people in other regions?
Apparently.
My people, we need to talk. We need to talk.
Yeah, she just decided that she's going to start from that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, it's just for us to sit back and see exactly how this is going to go. But I'm wondering, is she going to pray for them?
I'm wondering too.
Can it take you out of alcohol? I don't know.
If it can be done, well and good.
Yeah, I don't know. Just for us to watch and see. All right, guys, that's exactly what you're waking up to this morning in terms of your newspaper. Now, you do know, once you step out, grab yourself a copy and enjoy the stories on Friday right here on Lookuptv. We also do cover these stories extensively, by the way, on our website, www.lookuptv.co.ke. Once you're there, comment, like is what we would enjoy as the guys will give you this content. We take a short break right here on Lookuptv. Once we come back, MUGURU Kimani is going to come with that conversation that I opened the show with this morning. When was the last time, MUGURU, that you watched a play?
A play?
Yeah, in a theater, a live play.
It's been long.
It's been long, isn't it?
It's been long.
But it's happening, by the way.
Yeah.
Let me give you a plan this weekend. Today, after you're done with your time here at Lookuptv, make a walk to the Kenya National Theatre. They normally have a program and a schedule, or at the Lions Français. Check out what is playing this weekend. I do know there are a couple of plays that will be live at the Kenya National Theatre. Guess what? Come back this weekend, either Saturday or Sunday, sit for 2 hours and enjoy. I'm telling you, you stop watching movies.
I'll stop watching movies.
Yeah, you stop watching movies. You'll be looking for where these plays are screening.
This sounds interesting.
It is interesting.
I'll take up the challenge.
Oh yeah, please do. Please do. And I hope that in the conversation you're getting into next, you're going to really feel challenged to take up that this weekend. Anyway, that coming up next right here on Entertainment Friday on Lookuptv.
Are you a junior secondary school, a college, a TVET institution or a university and you want to advertise your intake? Book now and advertise with us today on both Lookuptv and all our digital platforms. Call us today on 011 0430 158 011 0430